Hello, Little Falls Community Schools Superintendent Stephen Jones with you on a Friday afternoon to bring you a couple of pretty important pieces of information related to Little Falls Community Schools and you as our district stakeholders. As you might be aware, around the state over the last handful of days, it's been some pretty important conversation happening around COVID, around learning plans, transitions, around activities, and just around how to interpret the data that's out there concerning positive case rates of COVID in our communities and counties. What's really interesting about this is that as county rates across the state continue to escalate in many counties, the interesting part is that school district infection rates have actually remained pretty low. In other words, school districts seem to be doing a really good job of following through with safety protocols for students and staff, and infection rates in schools that are traced back to schools, in other words, school personnel, students and staff, have been fairly minimal, and certainly minimal compared with the numbers of cases in counties and cities. And so that really led to some interesting conversations with MDE and, quite frankly, some clarifying of data that we weren't really fully aware of the way we could interpret things. Quite frankly, MDE has surprised a number of us by coming out and allowing school districts now the opportunity to really rely on school-specific data in determining learning plans and the activities aspect of it and all decisions going forward related to COVID. That's really interesting for us here in Little Falls Community Schools and in other schools across the state. We have been really informed that in the past that the county rates were really important. Your zip code rates were really important. Now we're being told that districts have the ability to investigate their own school infection rates and use that as a priority in determining your approach going forward. So this has all happened, honestly, since about Tuesday night when we received a clarifying guideline email from the Minnesota Department of Education. And it really creates some exciting possibilities for us at Little Falls Community Schools. So, for example, our current case rate in the school district is just a hair over 30. Quite honestly, by Monday, we expect that to fall likely into the teens, which is really good news, demonstrating again that even though, as Morrison County Public Health has stated, school-age children infection rates are down, we see rates in the county and certain zip codes continue to increase. So the good news is the school districts seem to be doing their job. And because of that, we now have the ability at Little Falls Community Schools and in all school districts in the state of Minnesota to determine our learning plans based off, in large part, what our local, meaning school district, infection rate is. And so because of that change, I intend to ask the school board at a special meeting next week to allow us to transition back to a different learning model. In other words, to transition out of distance learning and back into an in-person model at the elementary school and a hybrid model at the secondary schools effective Tuesday, November 10th. That's really good news, and we're really excited to be able to bring that forth. So again, I intend to ask the school board at a special meeting next week to allow the district to begin transitioning back into an in-person model at the elementary and preschool levels on Tuesday, November 10th, as well as hybrid at the secondary levels on Tuesday, November 10th. Just so you are aware, one MDE mandate that still is in place is that once a school district makes a transition to a learning plan, they have to stay there for 2 weeks. So today, Friday, is the end of week 1 of distance learning. Next Friday will be the end of the second week of distance learning, allowing us then to move into, with the school board's approval, a different transition learning plan. So again, based off our local metrics, meaning local at the school district level, we feel confident that we are able to move into that transition back to learning plans out of distance learning. So we're really excited about that. So the second good piece of news today is, again, because of so much of that happening, we're now able to begin a process of moving back to activities beginning on Monday, November 2nd. Just as I was getting ready to tape this, I got an email from the Minnesota Department of Education. I want to read it to you. So school districts can continue activities as long as there is not substantial, uncontrolled spread in schools and/or a significant degree of impact with multiple confirmed cases or large-scale outbreaks occurring among students and staff. Again, initially, when all of this started back in July and August, school districts were operating under the premise that certain numbers meant that school districts had to shut down activities and transition out of learning plans. That email that I just got a couple of minutes ago tells us completely different. The important piece is, how are we doing in each school? Is there, as the email says, uncontrolled spread, or is there a significant degree of impact with multiple confirmed cases? And right now, I can assure you, at Little Falls Community Schools, our number of cases are minimal, especially when you compare it to what's happening at the county and zip code level. So activities, meaning at this point, high school activities, will resume on Monday, November 2nd. Basically, that means volleyball and football. It could mean the fall play. It could mean some other pieces of activity that were going on before we went into a 1-week hiatus. And that's also good news as we look to the future events coming up in November, as the winter sports season as well as our winter activities season really kicks into high gear. Again, as long as we're able to maintain and keep our infection rates down in our school systems, we're able to go forward. One piece of advice one piece of information I do want to share out with folks has to do with what the future may look like. With this new guidance provided by MDE, we are now able to drill down and look at each school building separately. So for example, as a district, if we end up with 5 or 6 or 7 cases in one building, we are now able to act just on that one building and look at that building separately instead of the whole district in terms of making a transition for a learning plan for a short period of time. That's really great news for us as we go forward, should we, hopefully not, be impacted by something like that. So far, we have not at Little Falls Community Schools, but hopefully in the future we won't either. So again, another significant change as we come out of distance learning, hopefully beginning Monday, November 10th. So all of this comes at a time when we're still seeing high rates in our county, in the region, and even across the state. And so again, we ask our community members to help us out. Our kids are paying a huge price for things that are completely out of their control. So we ask you as the school district to please help us with Flyer Pride. Demonstrate that you care a lot about our kids and about their education. Help us by wearing those face coverings, doing the social distancing, washing those hands, trying to really stay away from large group settings, which seem to be, according to Morrison County Public Health, as really the areas where we're seeing the biggest spread happen in those social gatherings and family outbreaks. We're hoping that you can help us keep our kids in school as we go forward. As always, if you have any questions, my office phone number is 632-2001. My email, sjones@k12.mn.us. Lots of information. If you need any clarifications, please get in touch with me. Otherwise, Have a great weekend. The snow is melting and I can see my grass in my backyard. It's a good day. Take care.